Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cupid's Coach podcast. I'm your host, Julie Ferman, inviting you to transform me to we through the process of doing dating better. Today, I have a really fun guest with me. He's a buddy of mine. He's a colleague of mine. We've known each other for probably 15 at least years. His name is Barry Selby. Welcome to the program, Barry.
Thank you, Julie. It's such a long time since we talked. I'm so grateful to be here to have a conversation.
I was just joking with Barry that I never get a chance to be with him by myself, like for 45 minutes, ever, even when we get together with all of our buddies. And then we're all together, we're all talking, and there's just so much happening. So these interviews give me a chance to really get to know you and share you with my tribe. So I'm really happy that you're here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation, and I look forward to being known better.
Yeah. Well, didn't you and I first meet through what we call the homie hookup, which is a bunch of dating colleagues, matchmakers, dating coaches, marketing experts in the field of dating. And we started hanging out together and playing.
I'm not sure if that's the first place we met, but we definitely have crossed paths there several times. In fact, we had a meetup last Friday. There were like only 8 of us there because it was a Friday night, which is challenging, and it also was kind of spontaneous. But yeah, we said the
All
big
my
ones,
fault.
45
It was all
people.
my fault. I reached out to Carol Allen, who I just had on the show, and I said, I'm going to be in town. She said, oh my God, let's have a homie hookup. And then I'll tell you the honest to goodness truth. My husband kidnapped me. I've been focused on work a lot. And so he's been taking some vacations and I've taken some trips. We haven't done them together. And he said, listen, I got a chance to be in Telluride. It's a Monday through a Thursday. And I really want you to come with me. And I'm like, I was supposed to go to LA. And I thought, LA, Telluride, LA, Telluride one.
Not surprised. No, she did actually. Well, she didn't throw you under the bus, but she did say you were the motivation to do the one on Friday versus normally Saturday. But it was all worked out anyway because the people are there. We had a great conversation, a lot of fun, and it was great because sometimes the smaller groups are better because we do have more time with each other, as you were saying.
Yeah. Well, we talked about how back in the day, we as colleagues didn't collaborate and now we do. And
Right.
Carol Allen and I and Evan Marquez, we were part of the group of people that started doing that. And it's made an incredible difference in the dating space in general. All those matchmaking conferences that happen now, they didn't happen when I first met you. Now they're
Right.
happening regularly.
Yeah, and it's an interesting field, and it's interesting because, and to be transparent, there's definitely a difference between the authentic and real matchmakers and the wannabe matchmakers. I'll say that. So even though there are these big conferences, you still sort of see the contrast of who really knows what they're talking about, who lives the work. Those people who just like, I want to do the business, it'll be fun. So yeah.
There are two people who decide they want to be matchmakers. They think it would be fun. And actually, you and I both know it, being a business owner, a lot of the things that we need to do to keep the business alive, not necessarily fun.
Mhm.
So the really fun parts of it, once the business is built big, typically we don't get to do anymore. We farm it out to someone else. And one of my challenges in doing this work is I love every bit of it. I was just on one of my free 30-minute phone calls with a lady I met at an expo. Okay. Met her at an expo 3 years ago. And she kept her business card, my business card on her desk for 3 years. That's how long it took her to reach out to me. And I asked her, why didn't you reach out to me earlier? And she said, well, I was afraid you were just going to be like all the other dating coaches and matchmakers. And I said, all right, what does that mean? Well, they all just wanted me to do their most expensive program. They're always trying to rope me into some big expensive program. That's the reason why I've been adamant about keeping my multi-tiered approach available. I don't know if you know, but it's free. It's private to be registered with me. I might have a profile on you. What is your status right now in terms of relationship? Do you have a girlfriend? Did you get married and I didn't know it? What's the story with Barry?
I've been happily single for a long time. Actually, on my last breakup, that really was the impetus that pushed me into this whole journey, which was 2006. So it's been 18 years now. But I've actually been enjoying being single. Initially, I didn't like being single. I was like, I want to find somebody to do this work with. Now I'm clear that I won't be in a relationship unless it's somebody I can do this work with. And if they don't show up, I'm okay with that.
Oh, this is where I want people to get to.
Hmm.
That was one of the questions that we were bouncing around behind the scenes before we started talking about being happy as a single person. Yes. Who ends up being chosen for a relationship? Who ends up getting the second date, the fifth date, the 15th date? People who are happy already.
Yes. It's the thing is when we are in a place of, I call the word wholeness, but basically when we are fulfilled with our life and we're enjoying who we are and what we're about, we become more attractive, become more magnetic. So yes, you don't do it to be that. You don't be happily single to be it then be in a relationship. It's really about being happy and single. And then the bonus is you might be in a relationship because somebody notices you because you stand out from the crowd. Absolutely.
You're actually happy. Life's good. You're not angling to get to something. I was on the phone earlier this morning with a gentleman who, it's so interesting how the struggles that a man has in dating are so different than the struggles a woman has in dating. One of his issues is that women who aren't in a strong position financially, he says, are looking for that security. They want to be married. It's kind of like they want a rescue. He didn't use those words, but
Mhm.
they want to get safe. They want to get secure. So they're looking to nail down a good provider. And he's in a strong position financially. So he runs into that a lot. And then the other type of woman that he runs into is in a strong position financially. She has a lavish lifestyle and she expects him to keep up with the way she likes to spend money.
Mhm.
Does this sound familiar?
To a degree, yes. It's also the angles that people come from because I was actually talking to somebody about this a few days ago about when a woman really starts to stand in her strength and she makes sort of her money and she has her own lifestyle, she's afraid of a man coming in and taking over. So she almost doesn't want to be with a man unless he can like walk parallel with her because she doesn't want to trust. She has a hard time trusting a man not to diminish her or make her feel less than because some men, frankly, aren't comfortable with a woman that has that level of authority and success. So there's another level to that too.
How does it work for you? You're a guy who's worked hard, you've created a business, you've got your feet underneath you financially. You may not be Mr. Private Jet guy, but you're not Mr. Welfare guy either. You're somewhere, you're like me, you're somewhere in the middle, right? Um, what's been your challenge? In what ways do women, as you've been through the dating process, not rise to the level of relationship material in your esteem?
Well, for me, it's largely the inner journey, because I've been in the personal development field for basically 4 decades now, and I'm very passionate about doing the inner work. And so I have a healthy relationship with myself. And unfortunately, a lot of people out there, men and women, haven't done that sort of work where they have a healthy relationship with themselves as well. So they're always looking externally to either be saved or to find someone who's going to take care of them or to distract themselves from their own inner demons, shall we say.
That's beautiful, Barry Selby. I love what you just said. We don't know it, but sometimes we are dating to be entertained and to be distracted
Oh,
from
yeah.
what we know is our own limitations and we don't want to deal with it. And we just want to, let's go have a drink and let's just la 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 and let's jump in
Right.
the bed and it's all going to be great. And then what happens? Right.
Yeah. And I did in that 18-year span have a few dates with women that were entertaining and were fun, but I thankfully, I guess I'll say thankfully, got very clear very quickly that it wasn't going to work because it wasn't what I really wanted. It was a distraction. But the thing is, I saw that and then chose, you know what, this isn't going to work, and stepped back into my truth of who I was.
So I can tell that critical criteria for you, growth oriented, a
Mhm.
courageous, compassionate communicator, somebody who's done this work so you're not with somebody who's in kindergarten. Your elevator's up at the graduate level. You've
Mhm.
done University of Santa Monica's spiritual psychology program,
Yep,
right?
indeed.
Anybody who's done that program, people who've done the Hoffman process, people who have really dug in on this stuff, in a way, they're tough to match
Yeah,
because, you know, if they haven't gotten past kindergarten in this domain, you're not willing to take somebody from kindergarten and teach them everything.
that's true. And in fact, one of the faculty, Ron Holnick of University of Santa Monica, when it was still going on, said that the challenge is that generally, like, we're all on the planet, we're around the base of this big mountain, and we're all the same. But when we start growing, and it can be through intention or it could be through trauma, things happen where we change. We maybe go see a therapist, but things happen when we start climbing that mountain. And what happens is the higher up we climb, the narrower it gets, which means the dating pool shrinks as well. So what you're saying is so true. The more that we do the internal work, the less there are going to be people who are able to date, which isn't a bad thing. It just means it refines the choices. It's like the quality over the quantity. And yes, definitely for myself, it's challenging to be with somebody who I can look through the lens and see they must be a client of mine because the work they haven't done, I can teach them, which isn't good for a relationship.
Right. Right. So there needs to be a threshold of
Mhm.
already there in order for that to work. What else is on your key criteria list? Like these are
Um,
the things you'd rather be single for the rest of your life than partner with somebody who can have them, not more than five.
Someone who takes care of themselves on all levels. You know, I started during the pandemic. I started going out and going hiking in the local hills, and it became, I won't say it's an addiction, but it became a practice that I've done now every day, and I rarely miss a day. So someone who does take care of themselves physically is important as well because this is the vehicle we carry ourselves in. So as we get older, it's important we take care of ourselves.
All right. So she's got her act together. She's got a lot of emotional intelligence. She's in shape inside out, physically, spiritually, all those ways. What else?
Something that's become very much a priority for me is having a service orientation to life. I've been volunteering every Saturday now for about a year, and I do other things other places too. But I started, a friend of mine dragged me. He said, "Come do this with me. It's fun." I volunteer with this group of people who basically distribute grocery boxes to needy families every Saturday morning, and it's something that is it's a thing I love doing because we make a difference. And I get nothing out of it. I usually get pretty beaten up by the boxes we lug around and the pallets we lift and put down everywhere. But the value of impact, people driving away who frankly just say thank you and bye. There's no real connection, but we know we're changing the lives for the better. The kids are getting fed food, which is wonderful. So having a service orientation, whatever that is
Mhm.
something I value in my life, and I hope my partner does too.
I love that. There's a couple that I introduced a long time ago, um, and it was through a Habitat for Humanity
Mhm,
work day. He's the guy who knows how to fix everything.
mhm.
She's the girl who got divorced. Her house is in disrepair. Her guy never did anything. She has to do it herself. So she volunteered to meet up at this group. I said, listen, go. And I introduced him. I said, be nice to her. She's brand new, has never done this before. And it was that element of service orientation that attracted her to him and him to her. And they don't need to be married. Neither one of them wants to be married, but they are together for years now. And her place is in much better repair than it was.
Perfect.
But he had a way of doing it. He said to her, she said, can you help me with my back porch because it's, falling apart and it needs help. He said, here's the deal. I'm happy to help, but you're in there with me learning how to do it. So if we
Mm,
never see each other again, you will still have learned something that you didn't know before. So
right.
she learned how to do plumbing. She learned how to do electrical work. She learned how to do all of this stuff.
That's
So
great.
isn't that fun?
Well,
All
it's
right.
also she doesn't become helpless, which is great, and so he's empowered her, which is a great thing to do as well.
I love you, the guy who walks your talk.
Mhm.
And here I thought you were just a good looking, charming British
Well,
boy.
thank you. I appreciate those labels too. The other part I want to throw in there as well, because of being on the service orientation, is really having a spiritual consciousness, someone who really understands life and is more exploratory and interested in what's going on in the world. It isn't just through the lens of the three-dimensional reality that we live in. If that makes sense.
That. Um, the purpose of the Hoffman process, have you been through it or do you know about it?
I know about it. Yeah, I've not been through. I've been through similar things, but not the Huffman one. It's a very unique process. I know.
It's all the stuff that you appreciate. It's integrating spiritual, intellectual, emotional, and physical so
Mhm.
that we're healthy in all those areas. And, it's kind of interesting. Just about every interview that I do with a woman who has a level of spiritual understanding, personal growth and development, not in kindergarten, she tells me that she wants a man like you. And I have to say, careful what you ask for because they're going to call you on your crap every single
Mhm.
time. Um,
And it's mutual, of course. That's the thing with this work.
so let's talk about that. When you are with a woman who has a high degree of personal growth and development, spiritual understanding, what are the challenges?
Well, the thing is, there needs to be some ground rules in place because just to jump into that and to become a negative feedback system isn't necessarily a good thing to do unless you've already set ground rules in place which establish that. So you make sure that, for example, that no matter what, you remember that love is a priority. So anything that's feedback based is through the lens of love. So it's not just that's wrong, you should fix that. It's more like I really care what's going on. Can we fix that together, or can we resolve this so it's different? You know?
I love it. You're the real deal, Barry. Um, because very often what will happen is somebody who's done a lot of personal growth and development feels like they're looking down upon the people in their world and critiquing, and that's not a lot of fun. So if you're aligned on the purpose of being together as being love, and the love is a verb, right?
Yes.
People come
Yeah.
to me to find love. Yeah, right. Let me see. Uh, uh,
You
yeah,
misplace it? Did you leave it in the car? What?
it's I think it's the strangest thing, and there are books called Find Love, and people in my industry talk about helping people find love. Hello, it's in here. We need to learn how to release it and share it and create it and sustain it together.
I absolutely.
Ah, the girl who gets to keep you is a very fortunate girl indeed.
I'd be a fortunate man if she's the right one. Absolutely.
Yeah, and this is what's interesting, and these are the people I see pairing off. If I look at the list of all the couples who I've seen partner up, and there are over 1,300 couples on this list. I used to have it on a yellow legal pad, and then it
Mhm,
became
back in the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I watch the I watch the patterns and I watch the trends. And very clearly over the last 5 years, the people who are waltzing off into relationship are people who are already happy, they already love their lives, they've done enough work that the relationship will actually have a chance of
Yes.
surviving. Because if either one of them is unwilling to communicate, it's going to be painful.
Absolutely. And been there, done that. So I know how painful it can be.
So for you, boy, I like you doing personal growth and development stuff, which I know you do. I like you doing service-oriented work, which I know you do. How are your flirting skills when you see somebody interesting at the "Let's put the food together for homeless people" day? What do you do?
It's always something where I'm cautious because I don't want to make that the primary focus because we're doing something together, first of all. So it's always an invitation to like inquire and learn about each other so we can dance a bit more. It's kind of like the invitation to the dance versus let's just dance. So for me, it's more of a, um, because the thing also, and I'm very aware of this because I've done work so many women over the years, is a lot of women have had challenges with men who didn't respect their boundaries. So I've always being careful in my life just to be respectful of that, to be approaching and being honest, but also being very open so they can see where I'm coming from because they haven't necessarily had that before. And so when it comes to that sort of flirting, it isn't necessarily the most elegant format because I'm not saying I'm that good, perfect at it, but I'm also very honest about how I feel, and I'll tell them the truth, and being honest up front in and not trying to make assumptions is the best way of doing it for me.
What are you more inclined to do first? Ask about her most important criteria or share your most important criteria?
Let the ladies go first.
And what is it that women do that some women do that instantly takes her off your radar? In what ways are women disqualifying themselves from being a candidate for Barry?
Simplest things is they don't take ownership language. I've had so many conversations when I talk to somebody where she doesn't say when I do this, when I do this. They keep saying when you do this, or they do things that way where it's not even owning them space because that's a very telltale sign they haven't actually looked in the mirror really cleanly and seen themselves fully.
So
And that's
looking out there, that the problem is out there.
yeah. Versus saying I'm aware of my responsibility in whatever is going on. That's one piece. Another one is um, a complaining way of being, which is comes up a lot too, especially when it's about men dating. Maybe the dating apps, maybe their exes. It could be any combination of those. That's not a very positive experience to have with somebody. If it's something where they're talking about what they like to have and where they like to go, that's very inspiring because that's obviously where I want to go too.
How we do one thing is how we do a whole lot of other things. And so
Mhm.
if somebody's going to be negative, complaining, blaming, all of that on the first interview, which is not really supposed to be called an interview, but that's what it is.
Right.
That's the way they're going to show up. There's just some people are going to show up negative. They're going to be bitching, moaning, whining, complaining. I'm guessing that type of person doesn't have a shot with you.
It's tiring. I mean, why would I want to spend my time with somebody who's not adding to the conversation? That isn't fun.
There was a lady like that I was talking to earlier on the phone, and I do a 30-minute phone call. Anybody listening to my podcast, if you haven't already jumped onto a call with me for 30 minutes, well, there's your invitation. I do it for free, and I
Mhm.
get the profile done. So it's interesting. When we got on our call today, she hadn't taken the time to finish her profile, which tells me something.
Mhm.
What do you think it tells me if somebody's happy to take a half an hour of my time, but hasn't done the 5 minutes that it would take to power through the basics on the profile?
Well, I'm making assumptions here, but my presumption would be that first of all, they don't value your time, but secondly, they don't have full investment in their own journey, their own process, because they haven't been willing to expose themselves to a resource that might be able to give them what they want. That's very telling.
I thought so too. And it's typically one type of person, man or woman. They're usually very attractive. They're usually very personable. They're sort of, what we could envision as being at first glance, high value target, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And they think they don't need to. They don't need to do the work. And you know what she did? She was instantly complaining about, oh, I hate the online dating sites. All the men just want sex. They all just want sex.
See, the thing about that also is those sort of people, they don't have one important quality, which is humility. They're all about they've done it all, they've got everything together, they don't need to think about themselves. Again, it's all external, and that's the trap they fall into. So that's why I'm saying self-awareness is such a key part of this process for me. Yeah.
So that's why if I do an introduction for you, I'm not charging you for the introduction. You're in my database. If you say yes to her and she says yes to you, I'm going to make that match. I don't know if you know about the mitzvah matches here, but I'm famous now for mitzvah matches,
Okay.
which I'll tell you how it happened. This lady, can you see this lady here? She's my
Mhm.
mother-in-law, Feisty Frida Ferman. She created the term the mitzvah match. And how it happened was she was in her mid 80s when she found herself single again after 55 years of marriage to Al Ferman. And she sat me down in Calabasas and she said, Julie, I'm getting a little lonely on the weekends. Maybe you should find me a boy toy. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Frida, don't make me. You're 86 years old. And she said, I know you can't promise me an introduction, Julie, but if you ever had one, it would be a mitzvah. It would be a blessing. It would be a good deed.
Mhm.
Well, good news is I never had to match her. She had 3 more boyfriends before she died. She was the best flirt I know. She's the mascot for my company. And as long as the guy could drive at night, she'd keep him around. That was her
Mhm.
critical criteria.
Right.
And after she died, I kept thinking about it, and I kept thinking I really need to build the community service division of my company. And during COVID, I was bored, and all of my matchmaking clients went on inactive status. Nobody wanted to be dating. We didn't know how bad it was going to be, and I had time. So I built the community service division of my company, which allows me to do introductions for you guys without the contract, without a whopper fee. I still have high level matchmaking clients. There's always another client around the corner who wants me to be their personal love slave,
Yeah.
right? And I will, but they have to be reasonable. They have to be desirable and reasonable, right? If their level of desirability doesn't match their level of selectivity, the matchmaker's in trouble.
The challenge is, and this is why I look at my work and go, my work's so much more reasonable, frankly, but because the work's the inner work. But the matchmakers, unfortunately, a lot of it's about branding, or it's almost about, they think because they charge a certain rate, they'll get a certain audience. But
Yeah.
that's such a quantitative, sorry, it's a quantitative thing versus qualitative. That's the difference. And that's the challenge is that true matchmaking was indeed, with the Yentl, it was like that thing about you just find the best energetic connection. It wasn't about give me the money and I'll find your right match. So that shift from heart based to pocket based, so should we say, is where things are falling apart. And so definitely some of those matchmakers out there, and I know some of them do charge, 4, 5, 6 figures to match people. I have no sense they have a real success track record establishment because they don't seem to really have people's best interests at heart. It's more about getting money from the clients and then finding somebody, almost throwaway, which is distressing.
Exactly. And that's why I haven't been able to retire, Barry. I suck at retiring. I want to fill in the gaps because I know I'm the girl who knows what that feels like. And
Mhm.
whenever I get up in front of 100 matchmakers, I will always ask, how many of you have hired the matchmaker? Right? How many of you have actually paid that fee? It's minuscule.
Mhm.
Most of them haven't at all. They were attracted to the industry because of all the TV shows, and it seems
Glamour.
like
Yeah.
fun. And there's always somebody who's going to shop on Rodeo Drive, right?
Mhm.
There's always some idiot who's going to spend $20,000 for a t-shirt, right? And I guess that's what they're all looking for. And if you go to the conferences, you'll hear all them talking about they're looking for the high net worth client, la, 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 la. And they want to lie on the couch and do nothing until they've got their $50,000 client. And then, okay, maybe I'll make a few phone calls and I'll do the best I can. I just I just can't stomach it. So I just keep coming up with better ways to do it. And the thing I
Right.
love about my boot camp is I bring people like you in to help me coach and guide, and it's
Mhm.
all about using the space between relationships to become a better version of ourselves, to contribute to people. How about we make the community of Los Angeles a better place to date because we're making these wonderful connections for friendships, activity, all of that.
I absolutely agree with you. Yes, definitely.
So there's room for experiential development. I think that's really the next wave, and I can see it already happening now that the COVID era is pretty much behind us. We've learned to deal with it. Experiential dating is on the rise. So online dating is kind of losing it's got a bad reputation. Online dating right now is like I don't know anybody who raves about it. Do you?
Well, the online dating, because during the pandemic, especially because we were so isolated, any opportunity for connection was great, and online was the only way we could do it. So it had its value. But now, because we can get out in real life and meet people, a two-dimensional screen doesn't have the same impact as a three-dimensional person. So, of course, there's going to be a leaning towards meeting people in real life, even if it's at the grocery store or out in the world. Because the one thing, and by the way, one thing for me personally is having seen what looked like amazingly beautiful women on the dating apps and then meeting them in real life and seeing how different they were. That was a very interesting contrast because one of the challenges I've noticed, which was say one of the assumptions I would say for myself is when I see a beautiful picture of somebody, I can presume they look a certain way, but when they in real life and they can't even articulate a phrase or they can't even walk properly or whatever it is that disconnects me from the beauty I saw in the picture, it shows that three dimensions is more important. You've got to meet somebody and get to feel who they are in person than you can through a computer screen. So dating apps don't give you the whole picture anyway.
So, as a guy who's been on the dating sites, the dating apps, what can you tell us about photos that women are using that give us
I
some
mean,
points?
yeah,
Because,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, what's the advice you have about women and the photos they should choose for online dating or matchmaking profile?
First of all, make the first picture in your dating profile attractive. I see so many people whose first picture is either a picture of a landscape, it's not even of them, or it's a picture of them with sunglasses on, or a picture of them like in a like small little minuscule picture person in the distance against the great backdrop. It's not a real picture of them. So the first picture should basically be a headshot, in quote, not necessarily a glamorous shot, but an authentic shot. And I've seen people take pictures. Excuse me, I've seen ladies because I look at the ladies' profiles where the picture looks like they were like leaning back in the pictures up their nose, like the way they shot. They just use their phone doing a selfie, and the bathroom selfies suck as well. I mean, men do the same thing on that one, so to say it's not good for the men either. But to do at least the first picture is something that gets your interest because it's the first thing you see. And if that's a good picture, you'll scroll through the rest of them. So make your best picture you've taken the first one, because that's the primary thing. Because women that scroll through five pictures get to the one that's good looking because the other ones aren't. So definitely no sunglasses. Um, the way that one of my friends talks about it's like you want to have a headshot, a medium shot, and a full length shot. So you get to see what you look like. And this is true for men as well, by the way. So that's a good start.
I'm guessing that you're the guy who has not posted the photo without your shirt on in front of the nasty ass shower curtain in your bathroom.
Definitely not. No.
And why do
No,
you
no
think
fish, no fish either.
no fish? So no
No.
fish on Barry's profile. Why do you think men post the fish? Why do you think men post the fish shot? And why do you think men post the no shirt in front of the bathroom and the nasty ass shower curtain? Why do they do it?
Well, the fish picture I suspect is because it's an achievement picture. It's like, look what I've done. And some people, for some it may be the car, it may be that, but the fish is the typical thought what people think is in the picture because it's like, look what I've done, sort of thing, which is not what pictures are for. And the challenge is we, as men, are generally based on our accomplishments, not necessarily who we are. So that's one of the things. The second thing is because men are often tied to physicality, they want to look good in the pictures, so they want to show off what the work they've done to make themselves look good. Of course, they forget the background, which is the other part. It's like if you can do that, be on a beach somewhere or somewhere where it makes sense.
Well, my understanding for why that photo is on so many guys' profile page is because guys typically guys typically have only one mirror in their house, and it's in the bathroom.
Quite possibly. But the great thing is with the phone, it has a selfie camera on the side of it. You can do that and hold it at arm's length. You can do that anyway. You don't need a mirror. And the other
You know,
problem with that is also, by the way, one the mirror thing is people don't realize that when you take a picture in the mirror, you're switching your physicality backwards. If you ever look in the mirror, then look at a picture of yourself in real life, you notice your face looks different because it's reversed. And so when somebody meets you, they won't meet you in the mirror. They're going to meet you in real life. You'll look different to the picture you shot in the mirror. So it won't look the same. So don't do pictures in the mirror because it doesn't show you as you really are.
I have a great suggestion for what people should do on a first date if they know they're not each other's person. They should help each other out. They should, if you and I are on a date like that, now say, you know what, Barry, you are way cuter than that awful photo of you in front of your bathroom, nasty ass shower curtain. How about if I take a better one for you?
I love that. Genius. Yeah.
It, the other one everyone uses right now is the picture in the car. I
Hmm.
don't know why that's become a thing. Why
Convenience.
has
I
why
think it's
has the
convenience.
car shot become a thing, Barry?
I think it's a convenience, and because people are in a rush and they think they don't. Because I think a lot of times for people, frankly, they don't stop to say, "Okay, I want to take some pictures." I mean, this is the way I think about it. If you're putting yourself in a dating app or some other site and you want to get pictures up, if you're looking at the fact you want to meet somebody not just for a quick one night stand, but you're looking for the rest of your life, wouldn't it be worth investing the time and the energy to get some decent pictures taken, even if somebody else take them of you? But some people do have that rushing around, like take a picture in the car because I forgot to do it when I was at home. It's a consciousness thing. We're not present to the fact that we'll make this important because oftentimes in the pictures, another piece is the number of people, the number of women I see on dating their first picture on the dating profile is not even smiling because it's like I just got to do this. So it's just a harumph and it's just a quick, I won't say resting bitch face, but it is that sense of it's not a very attractive picture. But having the willingness to take a picture that contributes to sharing your joy would be wonderful.
All right, so we know what women are doing wrong with their photos. Oh, there's one more thing. If
Mhm.
all of the woman's photos are perfect and beautiful and photoshopped, what does the guy think?
Well, that's I've noticed a lot recently. A lot of time person's picture, somebody who says they're in a certain age grade, but the picture looks 20 years younger. Either it's an old picture or it's photoshopped or it's AI. And AI is showing up a lot in dating profiles. You've got to be really careful at that as well, by the way, just a word to the wise. But yeah, the thing is that the challenge is because again, if you want to meet in real life, your picture should match what you look like in real life. So when you meet the person, you don't go, that's not who you were in the pictures. So why do that?
It's so crazy. I mean, there are times when I'll meet with a matchmaking client or somebody who wants to be in my system and she really wants to use this particular photo. Happens with guys too. They really want to use this group of photos. Well, they were professionally shot 7 years ago.
Hmm.
I might be able to get the guy the first date, but I'm gonna be able to get him the second date. She's gonna be
Right.
like, "Julie," and I don't wanna be accountable for that, so I insist that photos be within a year or 2. If it's a body shot and their body is exactly the same as it was 5 years ago and they're on vacation and they look great, I might include it, but they better have some current shots and they better not all be photoshopped. Let's talk about AI and dating profiles, Barry Selby. What's going on?
There's been a rash of scammers using the dating apps as a means to get leverage on people. Actually, I know somebody on Instagram who's basically doing a whole like educational thing about that to wake people up to the fact there's so much AI going on. The challenge with AI is there's no guardrails, there's no guidance, there's no like label goes on every single picture saying this was made by AI. So pictures that show up on anyway, even on Facebook. I see friends of mine who use AI to create different versions of their appearance in their profile pictures because it's fun. But the pictures don't, they look like they're artificial versions of them. They're not really authentic. And so on the dating apps, if you don't know the person, you may think that's their real person. Again, it's not who they really are. So AI can be distracting, but it can be used as a scam. So first of all, if you're on the dating apps, here's the word to the wise. Make sure you don't give away any personal information so you know the person is really who they are. Because some of the dating app users are not really who they think they say they are. And so you want to be somewhat protective of your own privacy and your own information. So if you can have a phone call through the app versus giving away a personal phone number, do that first so you know the person on the other end is really who they say they are, because there's been some scammers out there trying to um, dig into some of these innocent people.
Yeah, it happens with women in their 50s, 60s, 70s. It's usually a younger guy who's
Mhm.
good looking and he's a doctor and la 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 la. Well, if a guy's got all that going on, what percentage of men who are, let's say, 60 years old are coming to me asking for a woman who's older than they are?
Maybe 1%.
That's right. But you know what's interesting? I've been watching it because with 39,000 records, I get statistics. Well, right now, women over 50, about half of them are asking me for 5 to 7, up to 10 years younger,
Mhm.
and maybe a few years older. And I have to help them understand this is an unnatural match because if the guy's got all these qualities that you think are so wonderful and everybody else thinks is so wonderful, he's not asking for a woman who's older. He's asking for a younger, not because it's right. It just is what it is. Well, you're an evolved guy. What percentage of the women you've had first dates with are older than you?
To be honest, I don't always have the age in front of me, just to be transparent. But when I do, they're usually the same age or younger. I've rarely been out with until again what I've been matched with, not somebody I've actually found myself. But generally speaking, I do tend to date somewhat younger than me because I don't. Well, this is the challenge, of course. We don't think we're the age we are.
Right.
That's the human condition. But also, I've met women who are my age who look like they're 10 years older than me.
Right.
They haven't taken care of themselves. They haven't done the work themselves. And so it isn't just a numbers thing. Age is just one of the components, as to be transparent as well.
We live 5 years longer than men do. Women live longer than
Generally.
men do. It's
Yeah.
still, 7 years now, it's 5 years. And yet it's instinctive for a man to expect that he's going to be with a woman who's younger. And part of it is status. Like, you show up at a gala with a woman. Oh, Candy looks wonderful. Tell me about Candy. And then they find out she's 4 years older. They're like, oh, it's like,
Mm.
did you settle for the older woman? Right?
Yeah. Dangerous.
Like the woman who's wealthy, who shows up with the guy who's just a worker guy, he's got other strengths. They think she's settled. And then our friends, oh, she's this great guy, but she's settled. He doesn't have any money. Isn't it similar?
Yeah, in a way, it's interesting what we value as important, and also what we think is really accurate. And the challenge is, a lot of people look through the lens of their own judgments before they see what other people have chosen. So
Yeah.
we don't even see them as they really are, and what they're really about. And it is sometimes it it is always worth finding out what the reasons were they chose that person, why they chose it. You might be pleasantly surprised. Oh, that's why. That's so wonderful. But we
Yeah.
don't ask.
And then the other thing that men will get overlooked for is height.
Hmm.
Sometimes hair. I think it's a silly thing for a woman to veto a guy who, he doesn't have hair or she doesn't like that he has a beard or whatever. Do you know how many men I've known who have shaved their beards because the woman that they fell in love with really doesn't like it? And little by little, like, I'm going to get more action if I just shave this beard.
I went through a journey. These are going back years ago now, where I had a beard in my early 20s, and I went through a journey of coming out of hiding in a training workshop. And on the last day, actually, it wasn't that seminar. It was when I was volunteering the next time for the same seminar. The faculty, during one of the processes, which is very heart opening, very very vulnerable process, came up behind me and they put a can of shaving foam and a razor next to me as a subtle hint. So I went out and I shaved during that break and came back the next break. The feedback was so encouraging because everyone just loved me looking different, and it was an experience I had. But the thing has always been, I mean, I've had this sort of goatee look for years because I like it. Mainly because I don't cut myself shaving. But the thing is, the full beard will never work for me anymore because I realized that was too much hiding for me personally. For some men it works for them, but for me, it was a form of hiding that I used to avoid being seen. And
I
so,
will validate what you just said because our son joined us for dinner last night, and he's usually got sort of a scruffy looking beard. I always want to clean him up. And I'll be damned. He showed up at dinner with a goatee like you're wearing right now, a little bit shorter. And I'm like, "You look so handsome." And I was trying to figure out what the deal is. I'm like, "You got a pressed shirt on and you got your beard looking nice." And he's like, I said, "Wait a minute." He said, "Oh, do you like the goatee, mom?" And I'm like, "I guess I do,
mhm,
because you look dateable now, where normally you look like you just crawled out from under a rock."
right. Well, that's the other thing. I mean, that's the thing about hair too. You said about hair. being around people, and this is true for men and women, when a woman doesn't take care of her hair, where it's not like sticking out everywhere or just not even in good condition, there's and part of me gets concerned about again what level of self care she has. I know for myself, I had to give up the fight. I decided to shave, like pretty much shave everything off because it looked so. I look back at some pictures of me from like 10 years ago, and I look at it and say that was not really wasn't very attractive looking that way because I had this sort of this, the hair was receding and it wasn't looking good. And I finally said, you know what, I'm just going to give up fighting it, and I found I actually prefer it. One, because it's easy to take care of, but
Yeah.
two, I feel I'm more in integrity with myself.
It's beautiful. Well, I really like having this conversation, and you are a rock star. I'm going to
Thank you.
continue to include you in my world. I think you're the real deal, Barry. You're not just a guy who pretends that he's got his act together. You've done your work, and it shows.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Beautiful. If people want to work with you,
Mhm.
tell us about what you do for people. Is it group courses? Is it one on one? How can people work with you?
At this point in time, it's still one on one. I do have a group program I've been planning to put together, but if I have enough people say they want it, then I'll offer it. But right now, it's one on one. And basically, my website has all my information on it. So, and my name is pretty much everywhere on social media. So, just finding Barry Selby, and my site is barryselby.com. They can find everything I do. My book is on there. I have two podcasts. So, I do a lot of public service stuff by giving information away that way. But one on one clients is where I'm doing my work at the moment. And,
Wonderful.
what my, and my focus is primarily, the way I've framed it is that I'm helping my clients be better partners to attract better partners. So, while they're single, they do the inner work.
You and I are speaking the same language.
Hmm.
Um, so very good. And if a woman wants to get a shot at Barry Selby, all she has to do is be sure she's registered with me. Because
Hmm.
how I do it is I'm always going to go to you first.
Well, thank you.
Timing, Barry. It's good. Yeah. How's your profile? Good. Great. Now, what do you think about meetings, Stella? And if you say, not so much, who else you got? I get a lot of that. I'm not gonna call Stella and tell her I tried to get her a date and so the guy said no. I'm not gonna tell we can't handle that. But if you say yes and she says yes, we do the introduction and that will be one of my mitzvah matches. I'm not gonna send you an invoice for that. It's a gift. It's goodwill. I love it.
Appreciate
Super
that.
fun.
Thank you for the conversation. It's been fun.
Thank you for being on the show, Barry. I really appreciate who you are.
A pleasure. Thank you.
And you guys, go out there and transform me to we for yourself. Thanks so much for listening.